can be called as the internals of the operational amplifier. Okay. Today we are going to see all those subsections, the blocks actually being simulated. Okay, so that will concretize your concept of the internals of the operational amplifier. Once you understand the internals of the operational amplifier, then we can go for the circuits or applications of the operational amplifier. All right, so today we'll be having all multisim session rather, and we are going to see the basic things, how to measure the differential gain, how to correlate it with the equation that we have already derived, and so on and so forth. All right. So this is actually going to be a precursor to your practicals. I'm going to conduct your practicals in this particular mode itself, in the sense that I'm going to demonstrate the multisim circuits, simulation of the circuits in multisim, and then correspondingly you are supposed to carry out a similar kind of experimentation work at your end. I'll be giving you the lab manual, and you have to correspondingly complete your experimentation work in accordance with the lab manual. Okay. So today we are going to see how to use multisim for all these simulation of the basic building blocks of operational amplifier, and finally we are going to see the entire operational amplifier being simulated, which is going to be very interesting. Okay, so here we start with the very basic differential amplifier. The things are now known to you: two RCs which are equal, the transistors which are identical. Then I'm using a voltage source here, a signal source basically, with the input resistance, with the internal resistance of 50 ohms. It is being powered by plus minus 12 volts. As you can see here, the emitter resistor is 2 kilo ohms, which we will replace with the constant current tail later on. Okay, this is the equation that we have derived for the differential mode gain. Okay, so what does it say? It says minus HFE RC divided by 2 times Rin plus HI. Okay, so if I simulate this, see what I've done. This has to be very important. I mean, carefully observe that I am not measuring the output of the differential amplifier with respect to ground. Okay, so this is going to be a differential measurement. You see the channel A, one lead goes to collector of Q1, another lead which normally is connected to ground is not connected to ground here, but goes to the collector of Q2. So this is going to be a differential measurement. Okay, the oscilloscope is going to be a differential mode of operation. Okay. Now in practice, almost all the oscilloscopes are internally grounded, and this, for that we may not be able to use it directly like this. Okay, because it may be connected to the circuit ground. So you have to make sure that it is not connected to the circuit ground. But then this is how you will be able to get the differential measurement. Is the circuit clear to all of you? Simple circuit. Guys, please respond. Guys, please respond. Because without the response, I cannot continue like this.
Yes, sir.
Is it fine? Are you able to properly understand this circuit now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Okay. So if I simulate this, what I'm looking at is now. Is that clear now? Is that clearly visible? Are the oscilloscope signals clearly visible? Waveforms?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So as you can see, the green trace is the input and the red trace is the differential output. Okay. and we are clearly seeing a gain over here. Of course, there is going to be a phase shift of 180 degrees as signified by this negative sign. Okay. Now, how do you measure this? Let us first of all, there is no need of measuring the input because I have set it to 10 millivolts peak. So it is going to be 10 millivolts peak to peak. Okay. So the scale is 10 millivolts peak, millivolts per division. So it is going to be 20 millivolts peak to peak. Okay. That is how I set the signal source. My cursor measurements. Okay. So what is the peak to peak value? I'm going to fix it up like this. So what is going to be the peak to peak measurement or peak to peak value? Peak to peak value is how much? Can you find out? Can you see that? Guys? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So it is going to be about?
Yeah, sir.
Yes. Again. About 6.78 volts. Look at the mouse cursor. This is going to be the difference. That is a peak to peak value. And it is going to be 6.78 volts. So what is the gain? What is the voltage gain that you get? Guys, this is important. Please don't take it casually. You have to work with me. So what is going to be the voltage gain? Please calculate the voltage gain. Guys, is it that difficult? Hello? Hello? Guys, please respond.
Somewhere between 350.
No, you have to take out your calculator and just find out. There is no shortcut.
Sir, minus 349.353.
339 is what I am getting. Okay. If you consider 6.78, then I am getting 339.
Sir, I'm
Okay.
getting, sir, 349.
How is it possible? Divide it by 10, 20 millivolts. Not by 19 millivolts. This is your input, no?
Yes, sir.
So don't consider the input from here. Consider the input, the actual input. This is because of the internal resistance that we are getting some drop in voltage here, like 19.5. Okay, whatever it is nearly 340. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All of you should participate in calculation here. Come on. I'm taking your this particular course in a slightly different manner, and you should appreciate that and actually participate. It is not that I'm just it's not a monologue or a speech. You have to participate, and if you participate, then only your concepts will be cleared. For those guys who are passive, they are really going to find it very, very tough for this particular course. Everyone has to participate. What people normally do, I know. They just log in and go away. This is not expected. I'm trying to take this course, trying to conduct this course in a slightly different way than the conventional way. That is because we don't have a physical classroom here. So I'm trying to engage you in the lectures using these simulations and all those things. Okay, fine. Enough with that. So our gain was nearly 340. Negative, of course. Negative sign indicates that it is 180 degrees out of phase. Now I give you a task to calculate the HF, the same thing using this equation. For that, you have to find out what is the HFE. HFE is 100. Okay? RC you know, 3.3 kilo ohms. Rin you know. Rin you know. But what about HI? What about HI? Come on, guys. Do you recall the equation that I have given you for HI? Guys, do you recall the equation that I have given you for HI? Hello? Guys,
Yes, sir.
are you there with me? At least say yes or
Yes,
no.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Do you remember that equation? What was the equation? What was the equation for HI? Remember, I said you are supposed to take these two subjects very, very seriously, EDA and LIC. So those who have forgotten, I mean, it's not even the a semester apart. We've already done that like 2 months back, and you've already forgotten things. You are supposed to remember this forever. The reason for that is simple, that you are not at all serious with your studies. Do you remember the equation for finding out HIE? No, you don't. So what to do now? You stuck up? Okay, let me share OneNote page again. So what is the equation for HIE? It is going to be HFE into modulus, VT by modulus of IC. That is the collector current. Don't forget this equation now. So what is VT? What is HFE? HFE was 100. What is VT? Nearly 26 millivolts divided by IC. Now you can see here that I'll switch back to multisim. So what is the value of IC here? IC, which is nearly equal to IE. What is the value? Can you see this?
So 5.6 milliamperes.
5.6 milliamperes. Okay, so now you can calculate the value of HIE. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
So calculate it. What do I get? So I'm getting 464.29 ohms.
28.
Okay. Now put all the equation, put all this in this equation, minus HFE into RC divided by 2 times R in plus HIE. What do I get? Minus 100 into 3.3 kilo ohms divided by 2 into 50. R in was 50 plus 464.29. Find out what do you get? Yes,
320.
you get 320, nearly 320, right? Minus. Okay, there was a call drop. And what was the gain that we are getting with this measurement? Hello? Hello? Guys,
Yes, sir.
what is the
Yes,
gain
sir.
that we are getting? 340, nearly 340, right? So the two values do agree. All right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So our equations are not lying. We have practically verified that the equations are correct. All right. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Sir. Okay.
All right. So this is your differential mode gain. Okay. Now if I go for the common mode gain, not this one. Yeah, this one. So what is the change here? Guys, can you identify the change? Guys, can you identify the change here? What is the change? Come on, guys. Tell me. What is the change? Guys, please respond. Hello? Are you all there with me?
Yes, sir.
This is becoming
Yes,
ridiculous.
Sir.
This is really becoming ridiculous. You have to promptly respond. So what is the change? What is the change in the circuit? What is the change in the circuit, guys? No response again. Hello? Hello,
Yes,
am
sir.
I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then why don't you respond? Only 3-4 people that also have stopped responding promptly. What is the problem? You tell me the problem. Are you bored with this subject? And if you think
No, sir.
that this is whatever is not there in the syllabus, and then how is sir teaching it? I already told you it's a big flaw in your syllabus. You want to continue with the same flaw.
No, sir.
I am trying to bridge the gap and you are not at all responsive. Now this is getting on my nerves. People have stopped responding. Only few people do respond, that also with some latency. So what is the difference? Are you not able to see the difference? Spot the difference? What is the difference? Again, no response. If you are not able to tell me what is the difference, you can clearly tell me that we are not it is not possible for us to answer this question. I need not wait for that. Guys,
So not able to.
not able to tell the difference.
Yes, sir.
When you are in kindergartens, you are able to spot the difference. Now, what is the problem? A simple change is that I have added this another voltage source here, another signal source here. You see that? In the earlier figure, it was grounded. This base 2 was grounded. That's all. So, what is the meaning of this? The meaning is that I am providing the same signal or similar kind of signal to both the inputs, and we are trying to find out now what is the output, what is the common mode gain. This is the basic thing. And for a differential amplifier, what do you expect the common mode gain to be? For an ideal differential amplifier, the common mode gain will be what? Yes, please answer.
So 0.
Sir, 0.
Good. It has to be 0. So let us verify whether it is 0 or not. If I run this simulation, what do you see is the red signal, that is the red trace, is highly attenuated. Even if I zoom into it, you will see that it is highly attenuated. So it is nearly 0, almost 0. The differential mode gain is almost 0. Okay?
Yes,
Are you
sir.
able to see that? The red trace is almost 0. Okay, na?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
The point that I want to drive at is that the differential mode gain practically we have verified, and the differential, the common mode gain also we have verified with simulation, and that happens to be 0 in this case. Now you are lucky that we are using ideal transistors here. if you use non-ideal transistors with a slight mismatch in HFE and all that, then it is quite possible that you may not have a good, let us say, exactly zero common mode gain. At the same time, we are using a resistor over here, which we are going to replace with a constant current tail. Okay? So we have seen the differential. We have seen the differential mode gain, and we have seen the common mode gain. Now, if I want to change this to differential mode gain, I'll use a simple trick. In this voltage source, what I will do is I will simply add a phase shift. Okay, I'll add. Guys,
Sir, you were
Yes.
not audible before.
okay, there was a call drop, it seems. So I said that a small change here, that there is a phase shift of 180 degrees between the two inputs, makes them a differential input. And as soon as I do that, I'm going to get a differential gain which is very high, as is seen on the screen right now. Okay. So this,
Yes, sir.
so if I want to find out the differential mode gain, I can simply change this phase. So my point here is that differential mode gain is very high and common mode gain is almost zero. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the next simulation that we are going to see is a differential amplifier with a current tail. Okay. For the time being, let us. Okay. But before that, we will see the working of the constant current source. Okay. So this is the constant current mirror or current mirror that we have already seen. Now see carefully. I'll just change this slightly so that I can zoom into it. All right. Are you able to see this? Constant current source or the current mirror?
Yes.
I just remove the parameters which are not required from the probe. That will be easier for you to see. Okay. Now my basic idea, what was the design for constant current source here? That is what we have seen yesterday, no? Just let me go back to that. Let me just import it. Let me import it here. So it was like, so I'll call this as Q3 and call this as Q4. So our equation was to set the current I2, which is flowing through this. Okay, I'll call this as R2. So that will be in tune with our equations. So current flowing through R2, I can set with the help of VEE. I know VB3 is nearly 0.7 and R2 is what I can set. Okay. So if I want to set a current of 1 milliampere, what should be the values? Tell me. Calculate it. Come on. Guys. So if I want 1 milliampere, what should be the value of R2?
Twenty-five
Guys?
kilo ohms.
Yes? Yes, yes. Come on. Tell me.
25 kilo ohms.
25 kilo ohms. 25 kilo ohms. What are you talking about? Are you just reading it from the screen? That is it. That is for a different thing. I've purposely given you a different problem. You are supposed to find out the value of R2. Guys, come on. For 1 milliampere, if I want to set the constant current at 1 milliampere, what should be the value of R2? अरे simple करो ना यार. यहाँ पे equation है. Can't you do that? 12 minus 0.3, 0.7 divided by 1 milliampere. इतना भी नहीं कर सकते?
12.7 kilo ohms.
How much? 12.7. 12 minus 0.3, 0.7. कितना होता है?
11.3.
Yes, 11 point what? Calculation भी नहीं कर सकते. I think you should go to the primary school.
Sir,
What do you
11.
see here? Is it visible? I'm nearly getting 1 milliampere, right? Okay, that's fine. I've set up 1 milliampere here, but what about this current? It is also nearly 1 milliampere. Similar, very, very
Okay.
similar value. ठीक है? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So even if I change the load, now I'm going to change the load to 100 ohms. Okay, I'll just shift this here so that it will be easier for you to see and anticipate. So if I change this to 100, what is the value of the current still? It is nearly 1 milliampere. ठीक है?
Yes, sir.
Now if I change this to 1K, it is also nearly 1 milliampere, which is exactly it's mirroring this value here. Okay, I can further improve the performance if I make this HFE large. Already it is large here in this case also. Yeah. So if I make the HFE very large, then I'm going to get very much closer values. I'll just make it 1000. So what do I mean by this is that I am in a position to mirror whatever is the current that I set using this R2, the same current flows in the collector of this transistor, irrespective of changes in the load. And that is the reason why we are calling this as a constant current source or a current mirror. Are you able to understand this?
Yes, sir.
So let us stretch it a little bit further and make it 5K. Still it is working. So there is a huge range of the load values that for which it will remain constant. If I make it 10K, probably 20K it may probably change. Still it is working. So that's fine. So if I make it 40K, it may deteriorate. Yes, it has. Okay, so up to 20K, in fact, it was working. Huge range of load. So irrespective of whatever the load change is there, we'll just keep it 10K for the time being. So the current remains fairly constant. This is how you design a constant current source. In fact, this becomes a constant current sink. It's not a source per se, it's a constant current sink. All right?
Yes, sir.
This is what generally we keep. Of course, it's not necessary that it should be the same values, but then I found out those values to be working perfectly fine. All right. So have you understood this concept of constant current source or a current mirror, to be more precise? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Now we are going to replace that RE with a constant current source. But before that, we will see another important part, that is a level shifter. Which I think I've already shown you yesterday. How does it function? This I think we have already seen yesterday, right? Guys?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
We have seen that yesterday. So you can see here that I can shift the level by changing this value. I can just change the level and make it equal, make it, just remove the DC level out of it. Okay. So that is the level shifter. So you can see the simulation of level shifter also. Now we'll see all these things in action. Let us study the parts carefully. First section, what is this first section? This is the first differential amplifier.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
guys, this is the second differential amplifier.
Yes.
So you can see the output of this first differential amplifier, which is a differential output. So this is a dual input balanced output. This is dual input balanced output. Okay. Whereas the second differential amplifier is dual input unbalanced output. Unbalanced means I am actually taking the output from only one particular transistor, collector of the transistor. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Then I am using a level shifter here, which we have already seen. And finally, what you see here is the complementary symmetry push-pull amplifier, which is biased to a particular value. All right. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
So this is the complete picture of a very crude operational amplifier. Now you'll ask me the question, does it work? So for that, what we have to do is we have to use one configuration of operational amplifier, and that is called as an inverting amplifier. We have not yet done that, but just for your information, I'm going to show you how it works, and then we are going to corroborate that with whatever we have designed. So I am going for virtual operational amplifier, this one. 3-terminal device. Okay, so this is what we would want. Okay. Again, you can set the positive voltage, negative voltage swings to plus minus 12 volts. That is the supply. And then I'm going to use the same input over here, 10 millivolts peak. Paste it here. All right. Now the inverting configuration says that you have two resistors deciding the gain of the transistor or gain of the operational amplifier. So I'll just use two resistors here. We are going to study this design in more details. So just hold on for some time. This is just to show whether our circuit works or not. So this is how it is done. Okay. Load is not necessarily shown, but it's better to show the load. The other terminal is grounded. And the gain is set by these two resistors. Specifically, this is an inverting amplifier, so the gain that I expect here is minus RF by R1. This is R1, this is RF, feedback resistor. Okay, and naturally the gain is going to be 10 here, minus 10. So we are expecting to see something like this. Let us change the color to a different one. And then what I'm going to see is this. Now what do I interpret from this? Is this visible? Guys?
Yes.
The green trace is the input,
Yes, sir.
and the red trace again is the output. Okay? So what are your observations? The very first observation is that there is a phase shift of 180 degrees between the input and the output. All right. Look at the scales. Input side scale is 10 millivolts per division, and we already know this is 20 millivolts peak to peak. All right. So 20 millivolts peak to peak. And what about the output? The scale of the output is 100 millivolts per division. So the output is 200 millivolts peak to peak. Are you able to see that? Okay.
Yes.
I'll just put a probe there so you can see
Yes,
here.
sir.
So what is the peak to peak value? It is 200 millivolts. So does it agree with our calculation that the gain is given as minus RF by R1? This is how the operational amplifier configuration, inverting amplifier works. Okay. Now our circuit also has to do the same thing, no? Because if you are claiming it to be a operational amplifier input circuit, the building blocks. I mean, I'm building the operational amplifier. I should also expect it to work in the similar way, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So let us see whether it works or not. Yes. And what do we have? Okay, first of all, let me clarify this part first. So this is a feedback which I am taking. This is your 10 kilo ohm RF. This is your Rin, which goes to one of the inputs, and the other input is grounded. So this becomes the inverting input, and this becomes the non-inverting input. See that? Guys?
Yes, sir.
So if you measure the gain, you are going to still get a very similar output as that of the actual operational amplifier. So what essentially I have done here is I have designed a simple operational amplifier. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
So now if I increase the
Yes, sir.
gain, can I increase the gain? Let us say we can increase the gain to 2 times. So yes, the gain has also increased by 2 times than the earlier one. Okay? Now the basic question, if I don't have the feedback, hello?
Sir, you were not audible.
Okay, what I'm doing is I'm using the operational amplifier in open loop configuration. Open loop, there is no feedback. Okay? In that case, how the output was looking like? If I provided the input, the output was looking like this. What has happened? What is happening? Can you tell me? And if you look at the output peak to peak values, it is 5.75 volts peak to peak. What was your input? What is your input? Input is 20 millivolts peak
10
to peak, right?
20 millivolts peak.
20 millivolts, and the output is now what? Nearly 5.7 volts peak to peak. What is happening? But at the
Sir.
same time, is it a faithful reproduction of the input?
No, sir.
No, not at all. So what is happening? The amplifier, operational amplifier, is going into a positive saturation and a negative saturation.
Yes, sir.
So the point that I want to drive you at is that if you use the operational amplifier in open loop configuration, it is going to go into saturation. Are you able to understand this? Guys?
Sir, saturation, what is the meaning of exact meaning of saturation?
Saturation, what is the exact meaning of saturation? What happens when the transistor goes into saturation?
Sir, saturation region, okay, sir.
Yes. So is there any further increase in the voltage there? Any further decrease or the voltage there? If you look at the interactive demo that we have seen, do you remember that? Guys, do you remember that? Let me go back to that again, because that all has to tie up properly. Just hold on for some time. Just hold on. I'm just firing up that program. So are you able to see the screen? Guys, what do you see?
Sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Fixed bias, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So if my Q point is somewhere here, see what is happening to the signal. What is happening here? See this?
Yes, sir.
This is saturation. And on the other extreme,
Constant.
it is going cut off. So there is no faithful reproduction of the input. Okay? Just like what it would do somewhere here, like this. Here also you can see the same kind of thing. If I increase the input, see what is happening?
Amplitude is.
Peaks are getting clipped off, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, exactly the same thing happens in case of our open loop. If you use the operational amplifier in open loop configuration, this is exactly what happens. Are you able to understand that now?
Yes, sir.
So going back to multi-sim. Okay, let me go back to multi-sim again. Okay, so see what is happening here again. If I use the operational amplifier in open loop configuration, it is going to saturate. ठीक है ना? In fact, you will learn that it will saturate up to a certain value. We'll see that later on. But right now, just remember this, that the operational amplifier saturates. So you have positive saturation as well as negative saturation here in case of operational amplifier, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this was the actual internal working of the operational amplifier. Okay, now I'm just bring it more closer to the real thing, that is so what is the difference now? Can you see the difference? What is the difference?
Sir, mirror is.
Yeah, instead of using the passive resistors, we are using a current mirror. Okay, we are using the current mirror, and let us see whether this also works as per our expectations. Yes, since the gain was 20, that is the reason why I'm getting a gain over here corresponding to, or you can directly see here the peak to peak value is nearly 400 millivolts, whereas your input was 220. It was 20 millivolts peak to peak. Here it is 393 millivolts peak to peak. Okay. The only thing that has changed here now is that I can have larger values of RC. Because of the constant current source or the current tail, I can have larger values of RC, and RC large means the gain is also going to be large. Open loop gain is going to be large. Of course, what we are doing here is we are trying to use it as a closed loop amplifier, and that is the reason why. Do you remember the very first lecture when I said that when you design an open loop amplifier, what is the basic requirement? How do you start with the design? You start with the maximum possible gain, isn't it? Because
Yes.
nobody uses operational amplifier as amplifier, or in fact any amplifier as an amplifier without a closed loop. So you should not use an amplifier in the open loop configuration. We have already seen the closed loop. We have already seen the types of feedback in EDA also. There was one extra lecture on that. Remember that? Guys,
Yes, sir.
so our aim should always be to start to have with the we start with an assumption that, or rather the goal should be to have highest possible voltage gain. Okay, and in order to have that, I must have this RC values to be very large. Okay, and my constant current source, if I use this current mirror or constant current tail also it is called as, I can go for large values of RC, and hence I can go for a large value of a large voltage gain. Don't get confused between the closed loop voltage gain and the open loop voltage gain. Okay, at this point it is very easy to get confused. What we are,
Sir, you're not audible.
guys,
Yes, sir, you are not audible.
Sir, you are not audible.
guys,
Yes, sir, you're not.
Yes,
You're
sir.
not.
I know there was again a call drop. Okay, so whatever we have done today, have you really understood the concept of operational amplifier internals? The various parts at least. And then finally, the big picture. Of course, your operational amplifier circuit, commercially available operational amplifier circuit won't be as simple as this. It is going to be much more enhanced because they use, for these resistors also they use current sources everywhere. Okay. And there are a couple of other feedbacks also so as to stabilize the overall operation. Is that clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I
Yes,
think
sir.
then we will stop here. If there are any doubts, any questions, you can always ask me via WhatsApp. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.